Desmond Desar. A very good evening to you, sir, and thank you very much for your time tonight. If you could track back to exactly what it is that happened on Friday, did you feel the effects of this particular explosion?
Good evening and good evening to listeners. And on Friday morning, just after 7, I just entered our office, which is about 5 minutes away from the Engen refinery. And as we entered, we just heard this huge bang, like a blast. It was like a bomb going off. And I thought, wow, don't tell me they bombed the police station, because the police station is about 2 minutes away. And then when we went out to look at it, it was this black smoke in the air. That went on for over 2.5 hours, that explosion and fire. I got to the scene within 5 minutes, obviously taking a camera, but also videos, and also taking an air sample. We took an air sample there that we had sent over to the accredited laboratory in Pretoria to get it analyzed to what was in the air at that time. But there were thousands of people on the street, all traumatized, all running out of their homes. They did not know where to go to. There's no safety zone. There were no alarms that went off. That was shocking for us, because usually the Engen refinery's got an alarm that goes off, which we don't know what it means. You must bear in mind that the people of South Durban do not have an evacuation plan that informs them where to go and what to do. So when the refinery blew up and this fire was in their faces, we like one step out of the doorway, and right across is the Engen refinery. And the Engen refinery is the only refinery in Durban that is surrounded with a huge population of residents that live around the refinery that have been there before.
Now,
Engen has actually creeped on.
Now, Mr. Desar, some of the residents have said that Engen should have listened to the warnings that you had given to them. It sounds like there has been a bit of tension between the community and Engen. What are the warnings that the community had given to Engen, and what is the nature of the tension that exists?
Remember, we are dealing with a refinery that was developed and built in 1953. So it's 66 years old. This refinery, since we have monitored and since we formed the Environmental Justice Alliance, we've been talking about it for 25 years, giving Engen and putting them on terms and recording all the incidents and accidents that have occurred. You must also know that this refinery has over 30 explosions and fires and gassing out of the local community. And Nelson Mandela came in 1995, and we met him in the streets going to open up an expansion plant that would have left out the scrubber. The refinery has regularly blown out, even during COVID. When at level 3, the refinery was stopped for level 4 and 5. At level 3, when the government gave it permission to reopen, because they felt that the refineries were essential services, the first day that refinery blew up just in May. So this has been an incident that continues to happen, well recorded. Government has all the information, the data. The health studies have recommended that the refinery, we should have fence line monitoring, and all that information should be available to the community so that sound decisions are made. But for some reason or the other, the local government and the provincial and national government have kept the information away from the local communities. In 2019, we presented a comprehensive incident report to the National Portfolio Committee on the Environment. Engen was in that meeting, as well as health officials, and they could not answer to the National Portfolio Committee when they were questioned by MPs. Why was the refinery prone to accidents? The refinery is being protected by the politicians in Durban. There's no political will to deal with the issues that impact daily on the lives of people. You must also bear in mind that this refinery has impacted on workers. Over 8 workers were sent to hospital, and those workers, we don't know how serious they are in hospital, but we do know that their families are crying. Their families are concerned about the workers that were injured at the refinery, and so are we as community leaders in the area.
So, Mr. Desar, as a community, what are your demands? Are you wanting the refinery to be closed down, or are you calling for greater safety measures to be implemented?
Well, the first thing was that 2 months ago, Engen in a press statement issued out by them, stated that they are going to close the refinery and they're going to now demob the refinery and ensure that that area where the refinery is, they will turn it into a tank farm. And we said, well, if the refinery wants to close, we don't have a problem with that. Obviously, they must have known that this refinery is in a bad state or bad shape. And it hasn't been maintained for many years in a proper and meaningful way. So they knew that the refinery is exploding. We said, look, we agree that the refinery must close, but let us sit down and discuss what's going to be put in its place and how they're going to remediate the land. But more importantly, how are they going to dismantle all the tanks, all the units on the refinery so that we can create jobs for our people? And what's going to come in its place? That has never happened. So the former MEC did not consult to the community, and she went straight to Engen. And what has happened now, little did we realize that on Friday morning, that at 7 o'clock in the morning, that this refinery is going to blow up and explode. This refinery will...
We believe, Mr. Dessar, that as the community, you want to take legal action against Engen?
Yes, we were at the police station today, a group of us, to open up a case. Usually the police in the area are very quick to arrest anybody that goes and protests and goes and occupy to raise their concerns at the Engen refinery. But the police today said they cannot open up any cases. All they can do, and the reason they gave us was that there wasn't intentional harm. But we are saying this is intentional. The refinery knew that the refinery wasn't in good shape. The refinery knew, but yet it continued to operate, knowing fully well that this refinery could have serious problems and serious impacts on the local population. So we went there. All we were given is that we were given affidavits. And look, affidavits are not going to really get us there. So what we are doing now, we are mobilizing the community. And we are saying to our people, because a lot of people's homes have been damaged here. A lot of people's health has been affected, including myself. So we're saying to the people, we are going to launch a civil claim at the small claims court. So anybody who's had their windows, who's had their houses damaged, and if it's under 20,000 rand, let's go to the civil claim court in Durban, and we're going to launch a civil suit on Engen. In the meanwhile, we are consulting with lawyers and asking why would the police in Wentworth did not open up criminal cases? What is happening? Because this is a serious matter for us.
In light of the damage to property as well as the health of the community being compromised, have you heard any word from Engen thus far?
Engen put out a blank statement that wasn't even signed off by the GM or anyone else. They have done absolutely nothing. We are calling for them to come to the community centers that we have here. We've got massive community halls, or we have massive grounds, and come and give an explanation of what went wrong. What went wrong at the refinery? Why didn't they do something about it? We are demanding all the data that they have. We are saying we want the air emission licenses. We want their scheduled permits. So it informs our thinking of what was their plans. Why didn't they maintain the refinery, knowing that there's thousands of people living on the fence line of this hazardous industry, which has been blowing up for years. So they knew fully well about it. So our demands are very clear. We're meeting with government, the portfolio committee on Tuesday. We're meeting with the provincial government and the mayor of Durban, and we hope that nothing is going to be done behind closed doors. We have a serious problem because the Engen refinery, out of the 2 refineries in Durban, we believe has been protected by the local officials because they do not act and there's no political will because of all the interests, the high interests that the politicians have in the Engen refinery. And that has compromised our health, it's compromised our safety for over 25 years. And we are demanding answers from the politicians, including the Engen senior managers, the CEOs and general managers of Petronas.
Are you aware, Mr. Dessar, of what is called an Engen Community Stakeholders Forum? I've been reading here through the documentation, and the spokesperson for Engen, Thandeka Cele, said that there has been some sort of communication at the Engen Community Stakeholders Forum. Has this communication been with the community? Is this something that you are aware of?
Look, they don't want to speak directly to the communities. They call up people on social issues. They do not talk about the environmental issues on the Engen Liaison Forum that we call. Thandeka Cele is not being honest with the truth. in the sense that she's not talking why Engen is protected. The acting city manager, Sipho Tele, has direct links with Engen, and they're not been coming out with the truth to say, why hasn't this industry like Engen been prosecuted over the years? Because all other industries in Durban that have violated the bylaws, all other industries that have had fires and all that, the thorough investigations and companies have been prosecuted. Why is this refinery not being prosecuted? There are reasons that the city managers don't want to answer, but more importantly, the Engen refinery doesn't want to answer because they know that there's absolutely nothing. And in 2011, when they blew up, the former MEC of the province, of environmental affairs in the province, Lydia Johnson, when she issued a notice to shut the refinery down, the very next day she was removed out of her job. Tells you of the power of the industry, but more how corrupted the industry is with our politicians. So we never get to the truth. We never get to finding solutions for the problem that we've been experiencing. Bearing in mind that we have high levels of cancer and asthma and leukemia in South Durban, the highest in South Africa ever seen of the levels of cancer and leukemia, and we are burying our people regularly on a daily basis. And this refinery, according to the health study that was done in 2007, is directly linked to the causation of chronic asthma and other respiratory illnesses in South Durban. Yet they are untouchable.
Mr. Desar, we'll leave it. Mr. Desar, we thank you very much for your time and giving us a personal account